Good day, grade 11s. We are looking at an example today where we have to convert a word back into its original cell phone number. And we're going to be doing this by creating our own custom procedures at the same time. Just to clarify, this example, this program does not need to be done with custom procedures. It can be done 100% in BTN Convert over here without any custom procedures at all. We are simply using custom procedures, first of all, as practice to see how it works. But it's a more, how can I say, a more educated programming technique. But I'll explain a bit more about that later on. First of all, let's try and understand, why are we converting a word back into a number? When companies advertise, they want you to remember their number. Now, remembering just a 10-digit cell phone number is not that easy to do. So what they try is replace the last 7 digits of the word, last 7 digits of the cell phone number, with a word that's similar to the profession that they're in. So for instance, this would be a general plumber, and he got his cell phone number in such a way that the numbers correlate with the word plumber. How does this work? Here we have a keypad. This is how the cell phone keypads used to look before we had smartphones. You can see that most of the numbers are associated with a group of letters. So let's quickly try this. The word plumber, starting with the letter P. P is associated with 7. So the first number there is a 7. Then we have L. L is associated with a 5. And so the second number over there would be a 5. U is associated with the number 8. So it would be an 8. And so on and so forth. Now we're going to obviously write a program that's going to do that for us, but we're going to do it using procedures. Now I've already created one procedure called getValidWord, which is going to test to make sure that the word entered in this edit box is only 7 digits long, 7 characters long, sorry, and that it consists of letters from the English alphabet with no special characters or anything else like that. Right, and it's over here is the code. If you want to pause the video and look at it, you are more than welcome to. So basically I check the length and then I check each character one at a time to make sure that it is within the alphabet. Okay, now that is the getValidWord procedure. If I look at this button here, this is BTN Convert. Let's go into the on-click event. The button is empty because getValidWord is not part of a button. It's a procedure that has been coded, but until we put this procedure, until we call it inside of an event like this button's on-click event, nothing will happen when I run the program. Right? So if I run this program as it is here, even if I type something else here that is not within the correct parameters of what should be in there, nothing will happen because we haven't called that inside of the button yet. Alright. Just to show you how it works before we get into the rest of the video, if I call getValidWord over here, and that's how you call a procedure, super simple, you simply call it by its name as if you're calling a person, except you put a semicolon at the end. Right, so when the button activates, it will go to the first line of code inside of the button on-click event, and it will see, this is a procedure, getValidWord. So it will go look for the procedure and it will find it over here, and then it will execute the code inside the procedure before it goes back to the button to see if there's anything else it needs to do. Right, we're going to add other stuff there later on, but let's test our validity over here. So I'm going to type in more than 7 characters. There we go. Please enter a 7-digit word, right? Let me now try and enter a special character or a number which shouldn't be there. It tells me, please enter a 7-digit word. Okay, well that looks like a little bug. Oh, okay, because it's, okay, that's the first error. Let's make sure that we enter 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so there's 7 characters, but they're not from the alphabet. There we go. Please enter a word consisting only of letters. So we can see that our code in our procedure is now working because we called it in the btn convert on click event. Now we're going to do this for the rest. So we're now going to convert this word to a number. Let's create a new procedure for it. Usually I create my procedures underneath the public section. Procedure oops, I spelled that wrong. There we go. Convert to number. Now this is a name, so you can call it whatever you want. It's not like it's a special word, but we follow the same principles as if we are naming a variable. So no spaces, right? We start each new word with a capital letter, and that's pretty much it. Now, in order to change this declaration, this procedure declaration, into an actual chunk where I can code, I'm going to hold down 3 characters on my keyboard. Control, Shift, and the letter C at the same time. Right? Just for a second, and there we go. It created a procedure for me. We can see it's called convert to number with its own little begin and end. And now I'm ready to code as per normal. So this looks familiar now, right? Now, what I'm going to do, essentially, is I'm going to look at this word and I'm going to take one letter at a time. I'm going to check to see if the letter is within A, B, or C. If it is, I'm going to make sure that I add a 2 to my number. If it is between D, E, or F, we're still on the first letter now, remember, I'm going to add a 3 instead. And I'm going to do that for all of them until I get to 9. 9 will be the last option. Well, I'll be checking if it's a W, X, Y, or Z. And if it's any one of those 4, I will, instead of adding a 2, 3, or something else, I will add a 9 as my first number. And that is just for the first character. How do we get the computer to do the same thing for all 7 characters all the way up until the R? We use a loop. That's why we have loops. That's why we learned about it in grade 10. So that we can get the computer to do something over for us, so we don't have to do it 7 times. We just do it once. Right, so let us, okay, I have global variables over here, S-word and S-number. S-word is what they type in there. Now I already extracted it via the getValidWord procedure, so I don't need to do that again. It is a global variable, so S-word is sorted. S-number is going to be my new variable, which is going to capture the number. As I convert from a letter to a number, I'm going to put the number into S-number. Right. Let's start by making sure that S-number is an empty string. And let's start with our loop. For I is equal to 1 to 7, dude. 7 because we know that they're going to type in 7 characters. I already have the procedure called getValidWord, which is testing to make sure that they did only enter 7 characters. Right. Okay, so let's label this over here, end of loop, just so we don't get confused. Now inside of the loop, we're going to start testing our first character. For this one, I'm going to use if statements, all right? But if you are sharp, you'll know that we can use a case statement as well. And a case statement is the more efficient solution. So what I'm going to do is, after I do this with if statements, I will, after we've completed the entire program, I will do it again in a second just to show you what the case statement looks like. So let's start. If S word, and remember, we have to test one letter at a time. So if character number I is in A to C, so that includes A, B, and C, then I am going to say S number is equal to whatever S number currently happens to be, plus the number 2. There we go. That's testing to see if the first character or a character is between A and C. Now we must do the same for the next one. If S word, box number I, or character number I, is between D and F, so that includes E as well, then S number is going to be equal to what S number currently is, plus the digit 3. We're going to do this now for all digits up until 9. And remember that everything we type here is looking at the one particular character in S word, one at a time. I is going to increment from 1 all the way until it reaches 7. So when I is 2, this will be looking at the second character. When I becomes 3, this will be looking at the third character of S word. Until it reaches 7, it checks the last and the 7th character, and so on and so forth. Right. I'm going to jump forward a little bit. Alright, there we go. I've now done all of them up until number 9, so you can see there we've got quite a list going on. Okay. Remember, this is now checking to see if S word, the first character, is between that. If it's not, then it ignores that and it checks the second one. Is the first character between D and F? If it's not, it ignores that and it goes to the third one. If it finds that, oh, the first character, okay, the first character was P, so it will get all the way up until here, where it says, ah, yes, the first character of S word is P, P for plumber. So we are going to add the number 7 to S number. Then the loop is going to go around for the second time, and I is going to become 2. So we're going to be looking at the second digit in S word, and we're going to be seeing, okay, is it between A and C? No, it's not. So we continue. And it's going to check all of them until it gets to this one, where the second letter in plumber is indeed an L. So it's going to match this if statement, and then we're going to add a 5 to S number. And it will ignore the rest of them until it gets to the end, and then I will become 3. It will start checking the third character of the word plumber, which is a U. Right? And it will continue ignoring until it gets to this one. Yes, this one over here, where between T and B is the letter U as well. So it will add an 8 to S number, and it will then carry on all the way until we reach 7, and the word is done. And that's it. Okay, that is how we convert it. It's done now. Notice that convert to number, the procedure, only does what we said it was going to do. So it doesn't display, it doesn't do anything else. It simply does the calculating and the converting, and now it's done. We will even leave the displaying to somebody else. So this procedure does only what it's been told to do, and I'm going to now call it in my btn convert click, or my on click event. So convert to number. And there we go. We've now called it inside of the event. One last procedure, a very, very short one, to display. So I've created the display procedure, Control, Shift, and C. There we go. So there's my procedure. Now this is a very short procedure. I want to display inside of P&L display dot caption is equal to. I'm going to display the entire number. So we're going to start with the prefix, which is EDT prefix. Plus, we're going to just leave a little space in between the prefix and the number. All right, and now we're going to display, after the prefix, we're going to display the word which was translated or converted to a number. Remember, that was stored in S number, our variable. We made them global, so we can refer to them in a different procedure, no problem. And that's it for displaying. Very short, one-line procedure. So the procedure doesn't have to necessarily be long. Now let's go to our btn convert click. Over here we have our get valid procedure, which we're calling first, then our convert to number procedure, and then we will end off with our display procedure. The order does matter because we are basically saying what order the code must execute. First we check, then we convert, and then we display. Alright, the only difference here is that the code isn't physically inside the button's on-click event. The code is sitting in another procedure, but we are calling that code when we type the name of the procedure in the button on-click event. Let's have a look at what that looks like. And there we go. So you can see 084, that comes from our prefix, and we have the word plumber, and there is the code. Now that's the program done and dusted. Okay, but I still promised you that I'd show you a different way to do it. And in the background here, off screen, I have already changed it to a case statement. Remember that wall of text which we had of if statements in the convert to number procedure? Well, I've removed that and I've replaced it with a single case statement. This case statement does the same thing as the if statement, except that the code is more shortened and doesn't take up as much space, but it does the same thing. So whenever you have multiple if statements, rather use a case statement. Or if you have one if statement which has a lot of or, and, or statements inside of it, if this is equal to true, or that is equal to true, or that is equal to true, instead of writing a long code that's just going to go off your screen, we can rather use a case statement to do the same thing. You're just displaying it and writing the code in a different way, which is shorter and easier to code and also easier to read. So what's happening here? We're saying case S word, the first character. In case it is an A, B, or C, then S number is going to be equal to S number plus 2, just like the if statement. If that is not true, then we're going to check if S word character number I is D, E, or F, and if that is the case, then S number is equal to S number plus 3. And that carries on all the way to the end, even for number 9, which has 4 options. If S word character number I is between one of these 4 letters, then we will be adding a 9 to S number instead. And all of this, once again, is for the first character of S word. When the loop changes I to 2, then it will be checking the second character of S word. When I becomes 3, it will be checking the third character of S word. You see how a loop does all of the repetitive hard work for us. We simply write code to check one letter. The loop does the other 6 for us based on the code that we have written. And that's it, grade 11s. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video and being willing to learn and practice. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, and until next time.